I'm going to tell you the story about the steamboat Missouri, which was a medium-sized steamboat on the Ohio River. This event occurred at the mouth of the Green River, just south of Newburgh, between Newburgh and Evansville, on January 30th, 1866, right after the Civil War. The steamboat Missouri was loaded with, had room for about 100 people in cabins, and then it had about 100 freed slaves and such, because this was right after the end of right at the end of the Civil War. So it was very heavily loaded, overcrowded. It also had a full load of steam, or of cargo, and stopped in Evansville overnight and docked next to another steamboat called the Dictator. Well, the Dictator, Captain Jesse White, heard of the steamboat Missouri, knew the other captain, and they decided to have a race to Cincinnati the next day. Whoever got there first won. Captain Hurd absolutely did not like to get beat. We didn't know how many people were on board. I know his wife, who he so truly adored, was on board. So he left right after midnight, trying to get a head start. The Dictator knew that and was chasing him upriver from Evansville. And he was catching him because he wasn't as heavy loaded, the Dictator. And so Captain Hurd said, "Give me more steam, give me more steam." So they gave him more steam and was still losing. So he said, "Tie down the safety valves. Tie down the safety valves." So at that point, you know, I said, well, my name's James Malin, and I was on clerk on board. And I was awoke, I was thrown from my bed by a series of explosions. And I ran from my bed and ran up to the deck, saw people thrown in the river, fire everywhere. And I slipped and fell and rendered myself unconscious. And I came to in a farmer's boat, taken to Newburgh to be treated. The Dictator was also behind us, and they picked up a lot of survivors, brought them to Newburgh, and some of them went on up to Cincinnati. And we were treated in Newburgh by a father-son doctor team, and they were only introduced us by our first name, which was Dr. John, and the other one might have been Dr. Phil or something, because their last name was Slaughter, and nobody wanted to be treated by a doctor named Slaughter. So the captain was there. He had survived, and his son Arthur also survived. His younger son Henry did not. We never found her. And he demanded we go downriver to find his wife. And we went down and we found his wife, the remains of his wife, on a small part of the boat that was still above water. And we identified her only by the ring on her finger. And the ring on her finger was a very special ring that he had made for her, and it consisted of a ruby, an emerald, a garnet, an amethyst, a ruby, and a diamond, because those letters spell out regard. And that was just a showing of how much regard he had for his wife. So he was truly devastated and went off the river, and he and Arthur went down to Mississippi for a few years. But that maybe explains the reason why sometimes on a foggy night, steamboats are coming up the river, blow their horn, and they'll hear an echo coming back that might say, regard. My name was James Malin, as I said, and I also retired. I went up to Cincinnati, bought a bar, but that's another story. So thank you for listening to our true story of a tragedy that happened on the Ohio River near the mouth of the Green River.